at this chart. This is the Fed funds and the lag effect, the delayed lag effect. The graph below shows the Fed fund rate and the time is as measured in months from the last in a series of rate hikes preceding each recession since 1981. So, meaning they're increasing the rates, increasing. Boom, they stop raising. How long did it take until recession hit? If you look at these numbers, you'll see a 6, a 15 months, 8 months, 17 months, 10 months. You know what that means? It takes roughly 11 months from the moment we stop raising interest rates that recession appears. Again, if this data is real, say they raise the interest rates next month, the month of November. Okay, let's go 11 months. December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October of 2024, a month before election, there should be a recession in America based on this chart. That's what should happen in 11 months from November.
What's going on, everyone? It's Dr. Keynesian here today, and welcome to Inconvenient Truths. Today, Inconvenient Truth is going to be about Bidenomics, why I hate it, why I think it's a bad idea, why do I think that a recession will be coming in pretty much a year from now time. If you saw from the intro, Patrick David highlighted some interesting data that I personally felt since 2021 when we first had our back-to-back negative GDP growth. And a lot of people saying, that's not a recession. This recession is more nuanced than that. They were trying to highlight it away. I've been preparing for a recession since then. I've been trying to save my money. I've been trying to pay off debt. And I advise everyone else to do the same. Especially that majority of Americans don't even have $1,000 saved in their bank account today. That means most Americans are not prepared for an emergency to happen to them. Getting laid off, a big medical expense, a car crash that is the expense of it is over $1,000. And this is why Bidenomics do not work. Before I can critique Bidenomics, I must give what is Bidenomics, right? I'm not going to go into the wordplay, but Bidenomics is a wordplay of Reaganomics, the nickname for Reagan's administration's economic policies, which emphasize 4 pillars: tax cuts, deregulation, domestic spending cuts, and inflation reduction, right? This is something I feel like we need desperately today in 2023, but that's not what Biden's going to give us. Biden and this is according to the White House, is rejecting the concept of trickle-down economic policies, which is made up. This is a fantasy, right? Here's my question. Give me one economics person that has quoted saying trickle-down economics. This is used as a slur, not a slur, but this is what I'm talking about, that this is just political games. This is political theater. They label pretty much Reaganomics or Reagan's administration economic policy, and they claim that's what it was. When they can't find one quote from Milton Friedman, the economic, who was the source of Reagan's economic policies, they can't find one quote by Milton Friedman talking about trickle-down economics. All the quotes from trickle-down economics is what's claimed by Obama, Biden, and a bunch of Democrats. That's first lie. I'm not going to go into most of it, but he wants to make public investments, empowering and educating workers to grow the middle class. And if you look at it, a lot of the middle class are college educated. This is why Biden pushes student loan forgiveness. This is why he's pushing for education, which will put more Americans into debt, right? Because we have a student loan debt problem, right? And he said, and also the last point is promoting competition to lower costs and help entrepreneurs and small businesses to thrive. This has not been the case. This is all the claims. Look, this is the attempt, right? Road to hell is paved by good intentions. This is the intentions of Biden economics. Now let's look at the result. Let's take a look on this clip with Patrick David giving the results of Bidenomics. Let's take a look.
Here's U.S. interest rate hikes in the history of America when we raise rates. We have never raised 4.88 percentage points as quickly as we did in the States. So if you look at this here, the yellow to the left shows how quickly we kept increasing rates. And then you'll see the lowest was from 2015 to 2018 when we raised 2 points. Then you'll see 1999 to 2000, we raised 1.51. And then you'll see 2004 to 2006, over 2 years, we raised roughly 4 points. 94 to 95, 2.67. 88 to 89, 3.3. But nothing comes close to the 22 to 23 of 4.88. But what does this really mean? So if we look at the balance sheet of, this is pretty much the quantitative easing balance sheet. If you look at the top, that shows how much bonds the Fed is buying. But if you look at the bottom, the M2 money supply shows how much money is circulating in the economy. So you notice if you go to 2020, look how historically it's gradually climbing, but it's nothing that's sudden. Then all of a sudden, boom, we feed the economy, the market, with trillions of dollars we're not accustomed to. And we don't have another case study for somebody to say, well, here's what's going to happen. Well, it's totally okay. Well, don't worry about it. Based on what? Based on what case study can you speak so confidently saying nothing's going to happen?
Facts. Like, what case study do we have, right? Because you know me, I'm an empiricist. I like evidence. I like at least some way that I can make a valid, more data-driven assumption about what the future can be, because that's the reason why we study history. Because we're the same creature we were 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. Human nature does not change, right? And here's some of the concepts here. I just want to highlight this last piece from the article, and this is the last time I'll reference it. While price increases are slowing because of his Inflation Reduction Act, which to me is some level of price control, but hey, I'm gonna go with face value here. Cost remains elevated for the time consumers tend to care about most, especially staples like groceries and gas. I already told you I have a budget. I have a personal budget that me and my family run off because in my household, I'm the sole breadwinner in the household. Like, I make enough money where my wife is a stay-at-home mom, and we have to budget ourselves because we want this lifestyle. This is the lifestyle we want, and we understood that we have to make sacrifices to have it. So this is why I follow a budget. I had to increase my budget at least by 20%, and it's crazy that Biden and his administrations keep trying to put out this narrative that the economy is so good that, oh, this is just a perception. This is just a perception. No, it's not. It's reality, right? The Federal Reserve's attempt to tame inflation by hiking interest rates has led to the highest mortgage rate in 23 years. That's Bidenomics for you guys. That's the result. This is not the intention. This is the result. And I judge things by the results, not its intentions. People can say they love me, but if you're stabbing me in the back, does your actions prove that you love me or not? That's for you to make up your mind. Making home ownership more unattainable for everyday Americans, right? This means that despite the bolstering of some of the lowest economic unemployment figures in more than 50 years and steadily and stabilizing price growth, the Biden administration has struggled against a negative perception. To me, that's not a negative perception. Do you guys think it's a negative perception? Let me know in the comment section. And the ever-present threat of a recession on the horizon. And she's referencing a poll that only 33% of Americans approve of Biden's handling of the economy. This is the reality of Bidenomics, right? And I kind of want to hone in on the lowest unemployment figures in 50 years. In this video, you're going to learn a concept called leading indicators and lagging indicators. What Patrick Bet-David showed you in the intro of this video was a leading indicator. Something that's telling you, hey, based on this trend, here's going to be the result in the future, right? Every time, it's been in historical fact, every time they stop raising interest rates, the Fed, a recession falls within a year. Okay, that's a leading indicator. I'm making a leading answer. Hey, I'm trying to lead you to a conclusion. I say, hey, this is going to be the result. This is going to be the future. A lagging indicator is after the thing happened, this will happen. So you're telling me, oh, we have unemployment rates, lowest unemployment rates. Yeah, but when we hit a recession, what's the assumption? Oh, once we hit a recession, unemployment is going to go up. So right now, we have employment based on the current circumstances right now, the current assumption right now. And a lot of the claims that Milton Friedman made a long time ago during the Reagan administration, and I like how Democrats always love to bash Milton Friedman. He made the claim, and I agree with this claim, that inflation is always driven by the government. Government has created inflation. And the only way you can cause deflation is if you stop the government from printing more money. And he makes historical facts about how during the Civil War, the Confederate wasn't allowed to print money and their inflation rate went down. There's different historical context to support this. But I digress. Let's get into this next clip where Patrick Bet-David shows the perception, the difference of perception between people who work in the government, consumers like you and I, and then business owners, and how they look at the possibility of recession differently compared to where they stand in the economic sphere. Let's take a look.
So let's continue. So then 2024 projections, what's next for the US economy? They did a survey to find out who thinks a recession is coming. Look to the left. The Fed staff says 0% there's not going to be a recession. I remember they're in the business, so they're supposed to be saying that because that is Wall Street, right? Yield curve says 61% chance a recession's coming next 12 months. Economists are at 48%. Consumers are at 69%. That's Main Street, you and I. Goldman Sachs is saying only 15%. Bank of America, 35 to 40%. But look at CEOs, 84%. Okay? C-suites are saying 84%. Now, what would CEOs know that the rest of them don't know? Maybe they know their debt payment. Maybe they know when their debt payment interest rates that they got was lower, that if they have to renew the debt that they got, it's going to go up here. How the hell are we going to make those payments? Maybe we got to look at what some of these CEOs are talking about. And if you go to the bottom, you'll notice the percentage of S&P 500 companies citing keywords on earning calls. Look at what's happened from Q2 2022 to Q2 2023. What words they're using fewer times. Inflation has decreased. Material costs decreased. Economical slowdown decreased. Job cuts went up, but it's also decreased. So could this be a sign that everything's going to be okay? If yes, why are CEOs at 84% saying a recession is coming? Are they Houdini? Are they Nostradamus? Are they somebody that can predict the future? What do they know that the rest of the people don't know? Now, when it comes down to S&P 500, these are the 500 biggest companies in America. Something very interesting is happening. There are 7 companies that make up 28% of the S&P 500. Let me break this down for you. 500 biggest companies, 7 companies make up 28%. In the history of S&P 500, never has there been a time where 7 companies make up 28%. We've never had 7 companies. You know, too big to fail? We've never had 7 companies. Now, what are these companies? You got Meta, Facebook, Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft, Alphabet, Amazon, and Tesla. So why is this important? Here's why. If you look at the S&P 500 year-to-date returns, you will notice a number roughly around 12.4%. Could be higher, could be lower, but it's not 12%. You know what Magnificent Seven's return is for the year so far? Roughly 92%. So what happens if you take the 7 stocks out and there's only 493 stocks left? How's the S&P 500 doing? It's down. So the 7 are pulling the rest of the market, and it looks like everything else is okay.
Wow. 7 companies is holding up the S&P 500, right? The Magnificent Seven, they're called. A bunch of them are tech companies, right? 92% average return for just these 7 companies. Where's the index fund when I need it? So the whole economy is essentially being smoke and mirrors, like, hey, look, the economy is doing great. But if you take out 7 companies, the economy is doing bad right now. This is some craziness right here. And this is kind of the political games that you can't believe in perception as a voter, in my view. We have to look at the results and we have to understand, okay, what caused, we have to have a deep understanding of our system. And I think that a lot of politicians take advantage of people's ignorance of this stuff, that we only look at the immediate, but we don't look in the long term and see in a second order thinking, right? Long-term ramifications about how these economic policies happen. And this is my argument, and this is the inconvenient truth about Bidenomics, is that it's based on a fringe economic theory that is becoming mainstream. What is it? It's called modern monetary theory. Some of you may have heard of it, some of you have not, and I hope to give you a decent breakdown at least. So I'm gonna focus on these 3 points, and then we'll go into the next clip. Modern monetary theory is an alternative economic theory that suggests that the U.S. government can create more money. Milton Friedman was a big skeptic against this theory. That he's saying that, hey, no, U.S. government creating more money creates more inflation because it goes against supply and demand, which has been the traditional notion of economic theories for a long time. It's a very durable idea, but this fringe idea, like a lot of these things that leftists believe in, has no basis in reality. Monetary theory claims that because the government is the issuer of money, it can create more since it is no longer backed by gold, aka the gold act as a restriction, right? Because at the end of the day, there's a saying that I always repeat to myself: human desire is infinite, but resources are finite. And gold helped to keep this money from being just a theoretical abstraction of value, which is what money is today. It's just a representation of value, right? But I continue. Proponents think that modern monetary theory can counter many economic problems, while opponents fears inflation and increased deficits. Let's look at the results, people. Look at this theory. This theory says, hey, it can counter many economic problems that we have today. Bidenomics, right? This is what Bidenomics is essentially based on. Because at the end of the day, all these economic theories, they're based on a philosophy. Opponents of this theory fear inflation and increased deficit. Is our deficit not increasing? Are we not dealing with record inflation? In 2021, we had the highest inflation in 40 years under Biden economics. When Biden was warned, hey, don't pass your own version of the stimulus check because we don't need it anymore. People are going back to work. You're going to overheat the economy. They're like, no, that's not going to happen because Biden didn't want Trump to be the only one to pass a stimulus package, which was seen as popular at the time by a lot of American people. And now we're suffering the consequences of it today. I digress. Let's get into the next clip and I'll continue with this monologue. Let's go.
So far, the reason why the market hasn't crashed is one, Magnificent Seven is holding the S&P 500 high. So people are like, it's going to be okay. Number two, unemployment is super low, 50-year low. So people have jobs. They're paying their bills. They're not really that worried about it. They are worried, but not that worried about it to the point that the market has to think about maybe a crash or recession coming around the corner. However, number three is something to be concerned about because the U.S. consumer credit card debt tops $1 trillion. So you may say, Pat, credit card debt, $1 trillion. I get it. It's the highest it's ever been in the history of America. It's not like that's that big of a deal. We've been spending money on credit cards for a while. Fine. No problem. But look at this chart. Tell me if this concerns you a little bit. This is the credit card interest rate. This shows you, let me explain what the differences are. Blue is the credit card rate. Orange is the 5-year U.S. Treasury. The gray is the difference between the two. So look at credit card interest rates is the highest it's ever been because as rates go higher, your interest rate on your credit card goes higher and then it makes you miss payments more. So if you had a $33,000 credit card total debt and it keeps going higher and higher and higher, your payments are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The average person's like, look, I can afford to pay $300 a month. I can't afford to pay $420 a month. All of a sudden it went up, or a bigger number than that. $420, now it's $580. But this is not a good sign of what's taking place because people's interest payments are officially higher than they've ever been before.
So Biden and his administration, the Federal Reserve, are now in a rock and a hard place. I already told you they're chasing two rabbits. They want to decrease inflation, but at the same time, they want to stop the interest rates from, they want to stop increasing interest rates, because if they continue increasing interest rates, increases debt across the board. Your credit card debt, their own business, corporate debt, their own debt is as an example, and you're going to see in the next clip. And this is all the results of modern monetary theory, right? They think they can write their own checks. Here's the brief history about it, right? I'm gonna skip over, right? The term monetary theory was coined by an Australian economist called Bill Mitchell, in the early 1990s. However, some of the ideas are based on the earlier themes in Keynesian economics. Now, I'm familiar with Keynesian because I'm not going to keep repeating myself. His ideas are based on relativism, rationalism. And rationalism is they think they can come to objective truths with unaided reasoning, which is a fallacy. That's not reality. That's fantasy. They think, oh, if I just think about it enough without without relying on historical evidence or any ways of testing my theory, I believe that I can arrive to a correct conclusion. That's what Keynesian economics is based on. Rationalism. And what my thinking is, and what a lot of traditional economic theory used to be based on, is empiricism. You have to test your theories in reality, find proof for your theories in reality to be substantiated in as truth, as objective truth. This is what Biden economics is standing on. A house of cards, a bunch of assumptions. And look at the results. Who's suffering the results? We are as the consumers. Remember, 69% of consumers think like me that a recession is coming. The producers, the one that creates the jobs that a lot of consumers get their income from, 84% of them, CEOs, says that they see a recession coming. The only people who don't see a recession coming are people who work in the federal government. Tell me this is not political. But I digress. Let's check this next clip.
Take a look at this chart. If you look at this chart, this is corporate debt maturing in billions of dollars to the left. So if you look at the remainder of 2023, you'll notice they have roughly another $230 billion of interest payments left to pay. They're going to end up paying roughly $525 billion in 2023 of corporate debt maturing. This is the entire year of 2023. But look what it's projecting to go in 2024. Roughly $790 billion matures. How much does it mature in 25? 1.1 trillion. And then it goes to roughly 1.2 trillion, give or take. 2027 stays at $1 trillion. 2028 goes closer to 1.3 trillion. How are they going to go all of a sudden from $500 billion to $1 trillion to 1.4 trillion, 1.5 trillion? And this is why when we asked the question at the beginning, who is the least optimistic about recession? 84% CEOs. Maybe they know something that others don't because they know that debt is coming. So far we've talked about, imagine the average individual's like, look, dude, you might, school loan I got to pay for now. Now credit card debt went up all of a sudden to the highest it's ever been. Dude, I can't afford these payments. And you're noticing the defaults right now, commercial real estate companies are defaulting on their payments. Subprime auto finance. So those people that don't have good credit that bought a car, they're starting to default with their payments because their interest rates are going up. They're defaulting. They can't afford to pay it right now. But who else is experiencing this? Well, these were all small things we're talking about, right? You know who else owes a lot of money? What corporation in the world owes the most money? You know what that corporation's called? The Great United States of America. You know what's going to happen to them every time interest rates go up? Let's break it down for you. So U.S. roughly owes $33 trillion of national debt. Math would tell you and I that each 1% increase in interest rates pushes the government's interest expense up by, you know how much? $320 billion each percent. Each 3% is $1 trillion. Just interest increase, not total, an increase of an additional $3 trillion at each 3%. So just to kind of put that in context, if you look at this chart, look what it shows you. This is the interest expense we've had in U.S. from 1970 till today. You know how it's gradually gone up, but it's not been anything crazy. Then look at COVID. Boom, skyrocketed. How are we going to make these payments? I have no clue, but they're going to come to you and I because it's really our debt. The government is we the people. You and I are running, we hired these people to run this corporation, but they come to you and I to fund it. So guess who they're coming to very soon? You and I.
Ain't that something? These people don't know how to manage their own budget. You know how long Republicans been saying we need to manage our budget? But we can never manage our budget because just like Reagan, just like all the conservative presidents before them, they always have to compromise with the Democrats. And the Democrats want what? More spending. It makes no sense. This is why I tell Americans, and if you're watching this video, that you can no longer believe in no bipartisan support. You need to put Republicans in a supermajority where they don't have to negotiate with Democrats. Because if you put the Republican president in any position where he has to negotiate with Democrats, spending will go up. Because a lot of these Democrats believe in modern monetary theory. And I'm going to end this video off with this last point that I make because I'm a big skeptic of modern monetary theory. Now, you can make the claim that, Kenny, you're biased because your opinions are formed by Milton Friedman, a big skeptic of this theory, Thomas Sowell, a protege to Milton Friedman. This is why you come to these conclusions. But my only argument is show me the results of your theory. Because at the end of the day, a theory that is not tested in reality is merely an assumption. But, Democrats will keep pushing it. Even though historically, every country that attempted to apply this monetary theory, check Venezuela has tried this, Zimbabwe has tried this, Germany has tried this, and how many? And the funny part is people keep trying to make a different reason. Oh, America is a world reserve currency, so they can get away with this. Okay, but now we have someone challenging our status as the world reserve currency. Doesn't this leave us vulnerable to end up like Venezuela, Zimbabwe, Germany? Come on, it's crazy, though. Like, if you try your theory in reality and reality shows you your theory is wrong, you must accept that your theory is wrong, not double down and be stubborn. And now we, the consumers, taxpayers, citizens, have to suffer the consequences of your bad choices, politician. This is why I don't like the government making decisions on the behalf of its people. This is why you, government, are a public servant, not our public leader. because you lead us into destruction and then you get to jump ship on another country. I don't know. But here's my final point here. In the last few years, the so-called the modern monetary theory has been gaining prominence in the media, and the public. This article presents the MMT approach to money and monetary policies and discusses its recommendations regarding fiscal policy and aggregated demand management. The structural policy it advocates, as well as the international aspects of MMT. Overall, it appears that MMT is based on an outdated state of economic science, which is the Keynesian economics, and that it claims regarding economic policies are more exaggerated. That has no proof of it in reality. All it is, oh, look, this person of high standing promotes it. Oh, the Federal Reserve promote it. They rely on a fallacy of authority, right? The meaning of the MMT is more that of a political manifesto than a genuine economic theory, because genuine economic theories have case studies, have verifiable facts where people can use demonstrable facts to prove that their theory works. You've never seen any supporter of modern monetary theory having any case study that actually proves the results that they claim it will give, while all the other economic theories in the past have shown some evidence of their theory being true in reality. This is the difference. This is why if you don't live in reality, you'll feel the consequences of your fantasy. This is why we need these liberals to touch grass, because they're so out of touch. They want to play word games instead of playing the game of reality. And this is the problem we have with Biden economics, and that's the inconvenient truth about Biden economics. I hope you appreciate this video. I hope you guys found this video valuable. Let me know your comments about Biden economics. You agree with modern monetary theory? You don't? Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. I'll be interested to hear. Thanks for watching to the end of this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next Inconvenient Truth. Peace.